What's going on, guys? ChaseWins.com. Hope everyone's had a great start to the week. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Been a few days since I did a video, which I think I pretty well clearly warned everybody it may be like that at the start of the week. I knew I wasn't going to do one Monday. Um, did not know that I wasn't going to have time for one on Tuesday, but I did a little bit of traveling at the beginning of the week. So sometimes you just can't do a video. So let's see. When's the last video I did? Last free play I gave you was Sunday. So we need to do a recap for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And because it's been a few days since I was able to give you a free play on video, I'll give you a few of them. I'll give you one in the MLB. I'll give you one in the NHL, may even give you two in the NHL because I'm looking at two games. I know one of these will most certainly end up being on the premium card because I can't see enough changes happening to scratch both of them. So, but we'll wait and see. So I'll go ahead and give you my thoughts on both of them, where I see the games headed as they stand now. Um, and yeah, we'll go from there. So before we do anything, let's do some recaps. Okay. Oh, excuse me. All right. So for Sunday, we ended up having three plays, three plays, three MLB plays, but one of them was scratch. And of course, this is why I preach and preach and preach to my clients and everybody. If I tell you to mark starting pitchers, you need to do so. I don't do it just for the sheer hell of it. I don't do it because it's a fad. There is a method to the madness. And there are plenty of times where there can be, big name pitchers going in, and I will not put to mark starting pitchers. And it's because those starting pitchers mean nothing to me for this particular game because I see, the bullpen being a bigger issue, or I just see one lineup just being night and day versus the other, the conditions, the way teams are going into certain games. So I had two clients on Sunday, learn the hard way. They they didn't mark the starting pitchers, and it cost them. Well, it actually didn't cost them because the game didn't finish. It was postponed in the sixth inning, I believe, and then I think it'll play later on in the month. But we had a game involving the Nationals and the Royals. Now, Woj was a real, Woj, that's what I call him, was originally scheduled to go in for the Orioles in that game against Strasburg. Now, I had the game circled, but to be honest with you, the way that he pitches, those inside pitches that Washington has been struggling with so much, and they just can't seem to find their rhythm with. And even when Soto breaks out, or Castro's been hitting them pretty well, but Castro's just a walking OBP. I mean, he is the epitome of what you would want for a guy that can just get on base. That's why when I understand why the Cubs let him go, because then you were making room for the likes of Addison Russell and, of course, Javier Baez to come through and kind of leave their mark on everything. But to then be let go by the Yankees, short-term contract. Same thing with Miami, which that was the perfect fit for Starlin. And the Nationals, I think, made a very smart move picking him up. But if they don't lock him down for at least a few years, it will be a waste of just pure talent and veteran hitting. I mean, he's like the Albert Pujols of the East Coast. Not as great of a hitter, but somebody that can figure out a pitcher and learn how to get on base. But anyway, I didn't trust the Nationals with their struggles, with the type of pitches that Woj throws. So originally it was scratch. Well, then they scratched him and they put in Means. John Means was the one that was going to go in. I said, okay, now we're cooking with gas. I want this. I redid the numbers. Everything not only fell in the line for a premium play, it was just shy of a top play. So then I put it on the card. I marked it, said mark your starting pitchers as Means and Strasburg. Laid it at $1, at -1.5 at -120, and then about 45 minutes or so prior to game time, pitchers changed again, and it went back to Woj. So everybody that followed the rules, of course, that was a no bet, null and void. Basically, there's really no reason even talking about it because the game no longer was on our card, and it would have been scratched if you followed the rules, which most did. I had two people that did not, and of course it somehow ended up being my fault. So whatever. But so that game was canceled for us because of the pitching change. We had two other games on the card. One of them was the free play that I gave you with Walker Buehler and Kevin Gossman on the hill. The Dodgers on the run line minus $1.40. That was a nice easy winner. And then we also had the Mets on the run line minus $1.25 that day with DeGrom and Lopez. And again, I was a little bit weary. All the numbers lined up. Of course, I love DeGrom. Best pitcher in the National League by far. He's proven it time and time again. But if there is a poster child for a fantastic pitcher that doesn't get run support, not only is he it, he's been it for the last few seasons. Winning a Cy Young Award with 0 runs, he got run support in one start last year. One. The rest of them, he was the pure reason that the game was won. And he actually had to take losses last year while pitching just absolute beautiful games. I mean, but it speaks to the talent. You get 0 run support, things turn out the way they do, and you still win an NL Cy Young. More power to them, but that was also a win. So we went 2-0 in the MLB on Sunday. I know a lot of people kept emailing me asking me about that. They were like, why are you trying to hide your record for Sunday? And I'm like, I just haven't done a video yet. We get into Monday, and that was a day where it was kind of another situation with run support. Keuchel going in for the White Sox, going up against the Kansas City Royals, the Detroit Tigers. I'm getting everything jumbled around now, trying to recap 3 days. So sorry about that. The White Sox going up against the Detroit Tigers. Michael Fulmer. You know the drill. They were on the run. They were on the money line at minus 130. We did have the White Sox, but 0 run support. 0 run support. The bullpen really didn't do a good job, so they got beat fair and square. I felt like with just a little bit of run support, and again, that's not saying Keuchel was perfect. I'm more critical of him than probably anybody else, but I don't think that it was the few issues he had that cost the game. They got no run support, so nothing to back him up. So we had a loss there. But other than that, we also had the Minnesota Twins as an underdog at plus $1.10 that we won there. So we went 1-1 on Monday. And then getting into Tuesday, we actually had 4 MLB selections and 2 NBA selections. The NBA, we went 1-1. We had the Pelicans and the Kings under 236 points. That was a nice winner there. And fairly easy winner. But we also took the Pelicans plus 4, and their free throw shooting was just terrible. Missing technical foul free throws. Every time they went to the line, it seems like they made 1 of 2. So had they just improved on free throw shooting by, let's say, 30%, they wouldn't have lost the game by 6. They would have won the game outright. So we had them plus 4. They ended up winning by 6 after coming back and really making a game of it where I thought, hey, this could happen. But the sad thing is the way that both teams were kind of going tit for tat at that point, I had a feeling that if the Pelicans were going to come back and make a run and get within 4, that they were probably going to win. But it was going to take overtime, which I didn't want, because then you run the risk of dropping both games. Because had the game gone into overtime, it would have been a good chance that it did not go under. I think there was 216 points total, so it went under by about 20 points. So a nice easy win there, but 1-1 overall on the day in the NBA. And we get into the MLB. The only game that we lost was the Dodgers. We had them on the money line at minus $1.50, and the Dodgers just couldn't swing. I mean, again, I have been the biggest supporter of the San Diego Padres this season, and I started talking about the moves that they were making during the offseason, during the winter meetings last year. So it's not surprising to me. I was saying last year when Jeff Passan, the world's most unknowledgeable baseball analyst out there, which, by the way, on ESPN Radio today, keep in mind, you are the lead baseball analyst for the biggest sports media company on the planet. Your only job is baseball. And I quote Jeff Passan, baseball is inherently boring. That's what ESPN provides us. That's the genius minds that we get. I stand by my statements that he is literally a professional, useless person. So, but anyway, he was the one saying that, because he being the pessimist that he is, oh, Tatis will never come back. He has back problems. He's done for before he gets started. And I said, you never know with a back injury, but not only do I think that he'll be everything people hoped he could be, I think it'll start in 2020. He's proved every bit of it, and right now, so far this year, he's been the most exciting person in Major League Baseball to watch, and they deserved it. I didn't think that they would be able to hold the Dodgers to what they did, being that they were going to have to rely more so on the bullpen than what they would for a game where they had a true starter going in. But they were having somebody that was on, limited pitches, but they did very well. So hats off to them. They beat the Dodgers fair and square. That was the only loss we took in the MLB on Tuesday. 3 other games. We had the Rangers on the money line minus 130. Easy win there from start to finish. We had the Reds on the money line at minus $1.55. That line jumped up and got as high as 175 at William Hill. We released the game about 2.5 hours before game time, and about an hour and a half after we released it, it was right about 165 in most places. But nevertheless, took them there, took care of business in the 10th inning, and then we also had the Reds and the Royals over 8 runs at minus $1.20. 2 or 3 clients sent me text messages about 30 minutes after the games were released and said, hey, my book, which I think both of them were using BetDSI, said, hey, I'm getting it at 8.5. What's your thoughts? I said, go ahead, by all means, take it. Obviously, I don't like it, but I said, I don't think the game's going to land on 8. So you can't land on a half point, so I'm more than okay with you taking 8.5 for the exact same amount of money. They did so. It was a nice, easy winner there. So we went 3-1 in the MLB after a 1-1 Monday and a 2-0 sweep on Sunday. So MLB is absolutely crushing it as always. As far as any promotions or anything that we've got, nothing going on right now. $50 will get you 3 days of all plays. Premium and daily top plays. I hope to have an MLB top play on Wednesday. Right now, there's not even a line for it. Neither team has listed a starting pitcher. I think that I know which way the bullpens will go for both teams, but again, that's subject to a small bit of change depending on who the starter is going to be. I think I know who the starters are going to be, but right now with this season, you never know. So I'm not going to speculate and assume. We'll just have to wait and see. But I've got a game that I really like, and I hope that we can find some value within the line when the line does come out. Right now, in total, I've actually got 6 games circled that I'll be really deep diving into. That's not saying that I will have 6 MLB plays. That's just saying that there are 6 that are going to have the potential. So I'm hoping for a big Wednesday card. Let's get into a free play that I like, and this is the one that, the most information is available for, and that's the Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the Rockies are actually catching $1.10 at home. It is a day game, 3:10 Eastern time, and I'll be honest with you. One thing that I like about this game isn't just starting pitching, because so many people look at starting pitching, and they don't take enough into an account outside of those starting pitchers. Luke Weaver is not a terrible pitcher, but he's 0-3 for the year. He's got like a 12.9 ERA, but again, that 12.9, don't dig too much into that because that number is inflated because of just a few bad stats. He actually has 14 strikeouts, so not terrible numbers considering the level of pitcher that he is, but one thing that gives the advantage to the Rockies in this situation is not only the fact that the Rockies are hitting well. A pitcher like Weaver, a right-handed that likes to throw outside, that likes to throw down just slightly, that is what the Rockies love. They love those down and away pitches that are just enough inside the strike zone where they can launch the ball up, because in elevation, in what I consider to not even be real baseball, Coors Field, that's the recipe. That's how you get so many overs at Coors Field when you have pitchers that throw like that to a team that is used to playing at that high elevation. So that's advantage number 1 there. The second advantage is the Diamondbacks have gone through probably 4 more arms so far this week since Sunday than they expected to. They went through a bus load of arms on on Tuesday. 8 total arms on Tuesday. Now, granted, the Rockies went through 5 arms, but 4 of them were bullpen arms. So right now, the Diamondbacks are about a day ahead on their bullpen rotation. So they're going to adjust a couple of pieces, I do believe, because they're not going to be able to go through another 4 or 5 arms. They can't. If they do, they've screwed themselves for this weekend. They have screwed what the starting pitchers are going to be able to do. Because keep in mind, right now, 2 pitchers on pitch counts. Weaver on one of them. He went into the 4th inning in his last start. I doubt he'll go any deeper than that. If he struggles at all, they'll make him come out in the 3rd. But why I think there's going to be a shift is because they're going to have 2 relievers come in where they don't want to pitch 1 inning. They're going to let them go as far as they can as long as they're comfortable. But that puts Colorado in even better shape. So Antonio Senzatella is going in for the Colorado Rockies. Now, he's pitched well. He's the first Colorado Rockies pitcher since 2001. The year 2000, 2001, that started off 3-0. I should tell you something. The Rockies are not by any means a pitcher's club and haven't been for a long time. Even in the Dan O'Dowd days, they could not get a solid pitching rotation to save their life. Bullpen's okay. Starting pitchers, not so much. He's got a 2.65 ERA so far for the season. Now, keep in mind, he's only got 14 strikeouts, too. So see where I say that 12.9 ERA was convoluted a little bit? 2 pitchers going in, same strikeout ratio. There's 2 things that are significant differences to these pitchers outside of the basic stats you would look at in, one's got a 12 ERA and one's got a 2.6. And it's the fact that even though Antonio is not a high strikeout ratio guy, he doesn't give up high launch angle balls. Typical hits that he gives up are low to the ground. Now, ground balls, that ground ball machine wording that I like to use sometimes, is almost non-existent at Coors Field. There is one pitcher that I have seen consistently do it throughout his career. And even though he doesn't have the greatest of history at Coors Field, he can generate ground balls, and that was Madison Bumgarner while with the Giants. Right now, we'll see what he does in his career with the Diamondbacks, but that's irrelevant to this point. So if he generates ground balls to an average defense right now that's already struggling, against a team that's struggling to hit, against a pitcher that's not going to make their day any easier, and you have a Colorado Rockies team that right now, because in the first 2 days of the week, they have kind of pampered this bullpen a little bit, they may be able to use an extra arm or 2 if need be to go ahead, lock up this win. They'll go into the weekend worrying about that then. You have a division foe right now that you can lock this series up with. Go ahead and do it. I think they will. Right now, this wasn't the most intriguing game that I'm looking at, but just based off of pitching, location, and the struggles versus non-struggles of each team at the plate, and you're going to give me plus $1.10 for the home team who's in a much better position in this particular matchup, I'll take it. So give me the Rockies plus $1.10, 3:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Get into the NHL. Here's 2 games that I'm going to give you right here. You can play these as leans for now if you are on my premium subscription. So if you get a 3-day, week, month, all access, whatever, you'll see at least one of these games tomorrow, if not both. But the Flyers and the St. Louis Blues both. The Flyers go off tomorrow. Let me double check their time that they go. The Canadiens versus the Flyers. Now, these are 2 teams that, even though I think that they're headed in different directions, the Flyers and the Canadiens match up very well to each other. The biggest difference here is, even though you look at the goalie situation, they're both at about a 91% rating. It's the aggressiveness of that blue line, number one, and what both teams like to slow it down in the latter part of it. But one team, as they slow it down, become a hell of a lot more physical. Montreal, even though they are a physical team, they can take a beating. As the game wears on, they become less physical. So if you notice in watching Montreal, when you take some of the most physical teams in the NHL, and we'll rattle those, 5 of them that I think are the most physical. Philadelphia being up there, the Carolina Hurricanes being another one, the Arizona Coyotes being another one. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're just so fast, so it kind of gets lost in the mix. I think the Chicago Blackhawks are very aggressive, and I also think that the Minnesota Wild do not get enough credit for how aggressive that they are. But truth be told, in the East, on the East Coast, I believe that the most aggressive, hard-hitting team is Philadelphia. They're not the best team. I don't think they're in the top 5, but they're the most aggressive. And when you have a team like Montreal that is up there with aggression, as they wear back that aggression and that physicality in the later parts, that's when Philadelphia slows the game down and ramps it up. Now, again, other than those two aspects right there, you have very, very equal goaltending, and you have very, very equal style of play, speed of play, at least in the early goings. I think this game is going to come down to pure stamina. So what Montreal, I believe, is going to have to do is force Philadelphia to keep this game slower than they would like in the early goings. Philadelphia is very similar to Pittsburgh in the way that they like to play extremely fast in the early going, slowing it down in the latter part, because they can't play to that pace. They don't have what it takes to play that for 3 periods. They don't have that type of ability like a Washington or a Tampa Bay, or hell, even LA is a very fast-paced team. They're just not very good. If Montreal can do that, this is going to be the best game we've seen in a while. Maybe outside of the Tampa Bay game today. I kept looking in on that game. When did it go to 5 overtimes? The game was, ridiculously long. I think it was 5 overtimes. It was stupid. So, remember what I said on that. Better watch that game too. I think game 2 could be lopsided. I'm not saying one way or the other which team, but I don't think the second game will be close. If Montreal can do that, then I think they'll make a game of it. It could be one of the best, and I think Montreal would have the upper hand. Problem is, I don't think they're physical enough to beat Philadelphia. So if Philadelphia comes and plays their game, they're allowed to play their pace at the beginning. Montreal will be able to keep up with them. But then when everything starts to slow down, I think that Philly's going to have just a little bit more gas in the tank, and they're going to use that to pounce on Montreal. And when you get those 2 wing defenders out there not being able to give some sort of help to your goalie, it's only going to take a few drives down the ice to where they're going to be able to crowd that goalie, make some good passes, and they'll go up on them, and Montreal won't have the speed to come back. That's my initial thoughts on that game. You get into almost the same situation with St. Louis that night. Now, let me make sure that game goes. I think that's the final game of the night in the NHL. So, what time does that game go? 10:30 p.m. So St. Louis, Vancouver. Now, even though that's in Edmonton, St. Louis is considered the home team in that one. That one's fine. This is the same thing. You kind of have 2 fairly evenly matched teams, but one thing that a big difference between Vancouver and St. Louis is, even though Vancouver is just as physical, even though Vancouver is just as fast, because St. Louis is not a fast team by typical standard, St. Louis is accurate. They know how to pass well. Now, the problem with St. Louis is, are they on or are they off? That's always the question. If they're on, they're the most accurate you can get in all of hockey, proving how they were able to come in as one of the last choices to win the Stanley Cup, and they do it. And they do it against the best team in hockey, which was the Boston Bruins. And when they're on, they're on. Now, when they're off, not only can they lose to far inferior opponents, they can get obliterated by them. I do think this can be a close game. This is the one where goalie is in question right now. Nothing is set in stone. I know they have them listed. I know they're very even. But St. Louis, every single game back, has changed their goalie the day of the game. Every single one. And right now, who should be going in per the way that they've set everything up to rotate through them? That's not who's listed. So I'm not going to wager my money on it yet. I think St. Louis is the better team. I think St. Louis is coming in a better position. And I think right now, if everything was set in stone, St. Louis would be the smarter play. But I think to get value out of this, because I think the most vulnerable of the 2 teams is St. Louis, I would say play it in regulation, get plus $1.05. Now you could play the Flyers in regulation too, and you would also get plus $1.05. So that way, if it goes into overtime, remember, you lose. It has to finish in 3 periods. It cannot go into overtime. Philadelphia, being that they are so evenly matched with Montreal, and it has to come down to how they save themselves for that 3rd period, there's too much of a risk of that game going into overtime based on how even the teams are. I don't think it would be smart to go regulation on that one. Investment wise, yes, it would be a good investment because you get plus $1.05 versus laying $1.40. But I just think that there's too many signs pointing to potential overtime in that game to make it where either way you're not risking juice, but you're still risking the loss. I think that if I had to pick one of the 2 games right now and only take one, I'd take Flyers on the money line. But I do like the St. Louis Blues as well. Again, pay attention to this one. Make sure that they're going to keep their goalie. But right now, to make value out of a team that's more vulnerable, that would be your regulation play at plus $1.05. So there's 3 free plays for you. Rockies plus $1.10. Philadelphia Flyers on the money line minus $1.40, and then the St. Louis Blues on the money line in regulation at plus $1.05. Stronger of the 2 hockey plays at this very moment would be Philadelphia. If St. Louis does everything that I think they're going to do, these 2 games are about as even as it gets, but I think the value would be playing St. Louis in regulation. I don't think that game is destined to go into overtime if the goalie situation pans out the way that I think that it's going to. But we'll play that by ear. If you are a client, you will get to see if that game makes the card. So for those people, I would hold off on making the hockey plays until you see my card for Wednesday. You can go ahead and make the Rockies play if you like, and then wait for the remainder of the MLB card that I will send out when ready on Wednesday. I love you guys more than anything. Remember, $50 will get you a 3-day pass, all sports, all premium daily top plays. $99 will get you a 7-day pass. $3.99 will get you a 1-month pass. If you want a 1-month pass, I know a lot of people did not see my video for Sunday and missed out on the special. I'm not bringing that special back, but shoot me an email, chase@chasewins.com, and I'll take care of you somehow. Got a new customer service rep going to be starting here next month just due to traffic. So, that'll help go through a lot of those emails a lot quicker. So I'll make that announcement once everything's done and we get settled into the new place and everything's all well and good. So I love you guys. I will see you back for Thursday and Outfielders Anonymous. The return episode it'll hopefully be posted this weekend as long as the editing gets done, if not beginning of next week. So I will see you guys back. Thank you for all the love and support as always, and jump on board with the MLB King. Let's continue to go make some money. See you guys.